Welcome to Homebuyers School, brought to you by Brookfield Residential.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Homebuyers School. Today I'm joined by Mushtaba Sayed, a mobile mortgage specialist with TD Canada Trust. And today the question we're going to answer is, and one that's very, I guess a very popular question is, how much can I actually get pre-approved for a mortgage? So Mo, how much, if I go right now and talk to you or a mortgage specialist, what's the maximum I can get pre-approved?
That's a really good question, Carl. So technically what we look at is we look at a bunch of different factors when we look at the amount that you can get pre-approved for. The most important thing is we do look at your credit score. Now, a credit worthiness is an important part of the approval process. Mm-hmm. So there are certain criteria and guidelines we like your credit to be at to see maximum, minimum approval amounts. I'll try to explain a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So if your Beacon score is technically above 680 where we want to be at, we want your TDS, which kind of stands for total debt ratio. So a total debt ratio is what we take your income, we take your monthly obligations, plus the new monthly obligations of your home you're looking at buying, which mm-hmm. is going to be your mortgage payment, property taxes, utilities. We want that to be around 44% of your income. And the reason why the banks want to be able to do that is we want the extra 56% to be available just in case you might need it. We don't want you to be house poor for sure. Mm-hmm. So if your Beacon score is above 680, we can go to a maximum 44% of your TDS. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, if it's lower than 680, we want to be at 42% of TDS. And these are just bank account guidelines that we take a look at. We also look at something called GDS, which is your gross debt ratio, which is just technically the housing cost that we talked about. Mm-hmm. So the housing cost, once again, is just your mortgage payments, your property taxes, and your utilities that technically could be part of the home. We want that to be, once again, if your Beacon score is around 680, we want that to be around 39%, which is the maximum. Now, if your Beacon score is less than 680, we unfortunately can't go more past 35%. Once again, just bank account rules to kind of see exactly how much you can get pre-approved for.
When you're talking about, so let's step back a bit here. What is a Beacon score? Just for those who don't understand.
Absolutely. So a Beacon score is a credit score, and it's a whole bunch of different things that combine into making like a risk rating for the mm-hmm. bank. So what we do, we could look at a whole bunch of different situations. We could look at how long you've opened your credit bureau, what mm-hmm. kind of debts you have on your credit bureau, how you make your payments, if you switch your job frequently. We mm-hmm. want to be able to show stability. So mm-hmm. if you switch jobs often or you move addresses often, that could actually result in a lower score. We want to show stability, we want to show comfort. So technically a score, what I like to explain to my clients, is just a statistic. So when we say someone has a Beacon score of 680, it just means to the bank that 1 out of 680 people will most likely default on a loan compared to someone who might have a Beacon score of 700. So 1 out of 700 is less riskier to the bank compared to 1 out of 680 or even 1 out of 600. So that's how the banks look at it. It is a little bit more complicated, it's a little complex, but it's just a brief idea of who you are as a person, technically how you come across to the bank.
Does a previous mortgage affect your Beacon score as well?
Absolutely, yeah. A previous mortgage could definitely affect, and depending on your repayment how you made the payments, the amount, it could definitely impact it in a positive way, or it could impact it in a negative way.
Does would you recommend then having, let's say you're in the process of selling a home and looking to buy another home, either another home or transitioning out of that? In your opinion, would it be better to make sure you sell your home first, or it doesn't really matter?
Yeah, to me, I don't think it really matters, because when we actually look at the pre-approval process, we can factor all that into the application. We can look at what makes the most sense for you. Mm-hmm. We can, if it makes the most sense to you because you feel like selling based on your financial obligations, we can look into that. We can also look at getting you pre-approved or approved for a mortgage by currently holding that property as well. A lot of people think they want to sell, but then they decide that they might want to turn into an investment property or rental property. There are many different ways we can work around the application. There's no just one way to kind of do that.
One question I always wanted to know is, should I max out in terms of how much I can get pre-approved for?
Yeah, so once again, it just depends on where your comfort level is. If you think that that's your dream home and you're very comfortable with it and you see yourself moving in there and living in there for a very long time, you might consider buying that house. It might be a little bit close to your maximum limit, but you might know that your income potential is just going to keep on getting more and more. That's something that definitely you could speak to your specialist about. I always tell my clients, as long as you're comfortable with the payments, make sure you do that monthly budget, those monthly obligations, and see exactly where that fits in based on your lifestyle. If that makes sense for you based on your lifestyle, it's a comfortable payment, you don't feel you're stretched, or you don't feel that it's a little bit too much for you, that's the ideal place to be, in my opinion.
Oh, great. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I think that's technically it. Once again, we just want to reiterate that just really sit down with your specialist, talk about your obligations, talk about your financial situation, talk about where you see yourself in the future. All that could have a really big impact on your decisions today. We want to be able to look into the future and see, does this make sense in the future as well, not just today.
Perfect.
So,
well, thank you very much, Mo. Thank
you.
you very much, everyone, for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
That's another edition of Homebuyer School. Tune in next time for more expert tips and tricks. And visit homebuyerschool.ca to bring you one step closer to finding your dream home. As with everything, it would be great if you like and share our videos. Also, please let us know if you have any home buying questions you want us to answer.